Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seven Peaks webinar. So this is our first webinar ever that Seven Peaks organized. As you all familiar with Seven Peaks, we always organize meetups in our office. So unfortunately, in this situation, we have to transfer it to the webinar, so we cannot see you guys in office. So for the people or audience who have never attend our Seven Peaks meetup before, I just would like to do a quick introduction to the people. So Seven Peaks, we are the software house. We started our business in Norway in 2009. After that, we relocated our headquarters in Bangkok, Thailand since 2014. And so far, we have been more than 5 years in Bangkok. Yeah, we have been helping a lot of enterprise, retail, different business, finance and banking, and also corporate clients and also SME startups. We are helping international and also local Thai clients. Yeah, as a service, we provide software consultancies, and also we develop software web application and also mobile application as a native for iOS and also for Android. We also have a UX UI design service, and also we also do software quality assurance as well. Yeah, and also this is our brand new service as marketing for the tech service. Yes. So we are international companies. We have 60 international professionals working together in Bangkok office. We have 17 nationalities together. So we're quite international working family and culture here. And we are growing steadily, and we foresee that we'll be double size within a few years. Yeah. So basically, we are trying to encourage our people, internet people, to be the speaker, to share the knowledge, the experience to the public. So this is the things to share back to the society, and also we also take questions and also the feedback comment from the audience to our meetup audience. And also this is the first time we are doing a webinar. Again, we are still sharing the knowledge to the public. Right. So yep. So I just would like to say that we are doing very well. And yeah, in the situation, we are working from home smoothly and very productively. You see that we always have a meeting with a Google Hangout, Zoom, video conference every day. We're discussing with the team. We have a team from Norway as well. We have a branch in Norway, and also we have small teams in Russia and big family in Bangkok office. So even though this pandemic, impact due to the whole war, yeah, we stay moving forward. So we are focusing our internet people health, and also their safety. So we encourage everybody working from home. Yeah. So again, as a recruitment process, we will hire soon. Yeah, we're always looking for the talented developers and also designer. Of course, in this situation, some position we are on hold. We're waiting for the situation to be stable back to normal soon. So especially in Bangkok, we got the good news that they have 0 cases yesterday. So hopefully the situation will be better, getting better and better. So again, we will be hired soon. And of course, we always need the people who have experience in cloud software architect, AWS, and also project manager, and also senior front-end developer who has experience in React, Angular, and also Node.js. We also need senior .NET developer. We also need full stack developer, UX UI developer, QA. Yeah, we always need this. So if you're interested in our hiring opening position, you can always visit to Seven Peaks Software/career, and also you can also send your profile and CV or portfolio to jobs@sevenpeakssoftware.com. So we always get back to you. We will send our short survey at the end of this webinar to know about your feeling, because this is the very first webinar ever we organize by Seven Peaks. And again, we will have more webinar to organize in the future as well. So your feedback is very appreciated. So you can say whatever you feel like good or positive or negative, you can say it out loud to us. So we will try to, improve for the future webinar as well. Again, please try to follow us on our social media channel, Facebook, search Serverless Software. Please click like, and also in the LinkedIn, you can just follow our page. We will always update all the status, update the status of 7 Peaks. We always share the news, and also we always update what we are doing, what is ongoing, like a webinar, and also articles. Yeah, we're always sharing a hiring post as well. Once we have an open position, we always post on the social media. It's good to follow us to know, not only applying for the job, but also encourage, for you to, learn new things and also gain more knowledge, what we are sharing. Yeah. You can also check our future events on our website, 7bsoftware.com/events. And also you can scan the QR here, so quick, easily, so you will see what's going on, what kind of events we organize in the future. Yeah, you can go and click register. Every event organized by 7 Peaks is free of charge. So you have to, of course, you have to be the first to grab the seats. They have some limitation. Yeah. Right. For today, our very first cloud webinar agenda. This is a welcome speech session. For the session number 1, we will have our speaker, Nicholas. He will present about introduction to the infrastructure as code with Terraform on AWS. After Nicholas' presentation, we have Q&A, live Q&A. Whatever you have curiosities, or you have the questions, or you didn't understand clearly, you can ask to our speaker. Yeah, he's willing to answer all the questions. After that, once we don't have any other questions, we will have a short break. And then session 2 will be presented by our Giorgio. Mr. Giorgio will present about development into AWS Serverless platform. After that, we also have a Q&A session as well. So please make sure you ask whatever you would like to know. So our speaker will try to answer as soon as possible. Yeah, so for our speaker, Nicholas, I just would like to invite him to present now. Nicholas, are you ready?
Okay, yes, hi everyone.
All right, good. So I will leave you here.
So yes, show. Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. I will turn on the cam also. Yes. So hi everyone. So first talk is about an introduction about infrastructure as code with Terraform and AWS. So who I am? So basically I'm a cloud architect. I mainly work with bank, insurance, and telecom companies, where we deliver projects that are on the cloud, but natively. So we don't connect our on-premise or yes. So also at 7 Peaks, we promote the certifications, like AWS certification. So if you join, you will have the chance to have one maybe. So for this session, what we can do is you can yes, ask your question during the presentation. If I have the time, I will reply to them during the session, and otherwise it will be at the end. So the agenda. So this presentation is intended for people that have basic knowledge on AWS, that are using AWS with a console, and yes, want to know how they can manage in a more efficient way their resources. So we will cover the benefits of infrastructure as code and focusing on Terraform. And at the end, we will have a kind of hands-on where I will do some live coding and yes, ask me question again. So what is AWS? So AWS is mainly like what you can get on AWS is like 3 services, like compute, storage, and networking. So compute can be like a virtual machine or can be like a serverless. Jojo will talk about this later. Could also be like a kind of storage where you can store your videos or you can store messages or you can have like a database. Or you can have access to network power. So you can create like your virtual network where you can like have a private network to protect them. So the services can be like at low level, so network services, or can be like higher level, can be, for example, have a mail account or sending mail or these kind of things. So AWS is proposing this service as more than 175 services on AWS. So this is a lot. And the question is how we can manage them in an efficient way. So mainly the users, when they have like a AWS account, the first thing they see is the AWS console. So when you have access to the AWS console, the thing that you want to do is just to click everywhere, try to create things like I want a virtual machine, so I will go to EC2 and I will try to create one. And if you start to doing this and to do it a lot, it will be like not manageable, and you will not know what is with the person that created this service, and yes, you don't know. So it will impact your billing, your productivity, and everything. So on AWS, we have like 3 other ways to access AWS. The first one is the CLI. So the CLI is most used like for, I want to have like quick information about what I have in my account. So for example, the list of my AWS buckets, S3 buckets, or I want to store something in a S3, or I want to deploy quickly a Lambda. Then we have the API. For the API, it's like a kind of basic API where you can do everything we want. So the AWS console is using the API internally. So this is what we will focus on today because Terraform is using this way to interact with AWS. And the last one is the SDK. So the SDK is more a way. So it's a software development kit. So it's something that you can embed in your code that will allow you to access, for example, to queues, to pull the messages and to read them, and then to push them back, for example, in a queue or storing object in a S3 bucket. So the question now is what infrastructure as code will bring us. So the first thing is it will help us to have like a kind of a model of the infrastructure and to share this model with others. So we'll have the ability to design with this tool and then to implement the infrastructure, but also to deploy. So it's like a swift knife. So what this will bring us? So this code is human readable, so you will be able to share this and people will understand it. So based on this, you can have the best practices that we have for Java development or .NET development. You can apply, like you can put this code into a source control where you can store it, and you can then do peer reviews. So basically, if you are working in a team, you can put your infrastructure as code, your code inside the source control, and you can ask to someone to review it. So it will be able to validate your design, and then we will be able to see if your new design can run on the infrastructure. Then for some cases, we can run like automated tests. So this one, I already saw it in a client. So for example, if I want to try a new feature, for example, the backend team wants to deploy a new feature and they don't know if the code is working on the infrastructure. So what we can do is to use Terraform to deploy the infrastructure at the pull request. and then deploy the backend and see if the code is working. And then when the pull request is finished, we can just shut down the infrastructure, so destroy everything, and yes, and the guys can review the pull request. With this tool, we can also track the changes, so we'll see this later. It will help us for improving the cost and to see what changed and to track everything. Because when we are on AWS, it's like so easy to create resources, and maybe sometimes we create something and then we forgot that we created this resource and we can lose a lot of money. The last thing is automation. So what we are trying to do here is also to improve the speed when we want to go to, for example, to the dev environment, to the staging, and to production. So when you are doing your configuration first in your development environment, you are doing them. But in the old way, what you will do is just write a document or just remember everything. And when you want to go to the staging or production environment, you will just try to copy paste everything, and you will try to read your documentation, and maybe you will miss something. So with infrastructure as code, what you will do is just write your code for the dev environment, and then you will reuse this same code and try to apply it to the staging and then later to production. That's the main goal of this. So let's see first benefits. So once you have like you can code your infrastructure, you can track everything and tag your resources in an effective way. So you can apply like policies and to say to people just tag your resources with like project name, cost tag, or anything you need for like grouping the resources in your billing report. What you want to do also is to reduce all the manual actions that you needed to do before. So everything needs to be like coded. And it will help the team to refocus on the business value. So when I say business value, it's like you will focus your time on the code, on the application, what's bring value to the user. Because spending time on the infrastructure is not something that you want. You want to bring value to your user. The second thing is you want to accelerate your deployment. So if everything is configured in a code, what you can do is everything, you will know how much time do you need to deploy something in the development environment or staging, because you will have like prepared some code for example, like we can prepare some code for creating a database. If you have prepared this code, you can reuse this code for another project, and you will say, okay, it's take 5 minutes because I just need to enter the username and the password of the database. And when it's done, yes, you can just really easily just create everything when it's coded. So it will give more visibility to other teams, and it will also reduce the pressure on the team. When you need to deliver in production, it will not be like 10 people, like 7 a.m. in the morning, just trying to push something in production. So you can automate everything because you already did it for the staging. The last topic is like you will reduce the risk because you also can enforce policies. If everybody is using Terraform, you can force them to use the resource the way the company asked. So yes, with the console, it's like, yes, you can do everything you want. But with the code, you can just restrict people to doing one thing in one way. It will also remove like human errors. If everything is coded, yes, nothing can happen, and yes, and remove the manual configurations. Doing this, it will also reduce downtime and increase reliability. So yes, because you tested it everything before on the staging account. So the next topic is Terraform. What is Terraform exactly? So Terraform is one of the tools that you can use for managing your infrastructure. There is some others like CloudFormation or Ansible or many others. We will just cover this one for this webinar. So this tool has been created in 2014, so it's been already six years. So this is tools that have like a huge community around it. So if you need to find like some documentation or help, you will find it on the internet. And you will find also some code that you can reuse for your project. So Terraform is like a declarative language. So what we will see later is you will describe your infrastructure as you want it to be. So if you want a database, you will just write the code for how you want your database. Then you will be able to also see the changes. So if the first time you deploy your infrastructure, you will create everything. But the second time you want to deploy something, what you will do, you will try to do the difference between what is already been deployed and what you are trying to deploy. And we'll be able only to modify what's changed or destroy what has been destroyed in your Terraform file. With Terraform, you can describe a single application, or you can describe your entire data center. So if you want to try just for one project, you can do it. So just write your Terraform scripts for your project. And if you like it, you can describe your entire data center. If you describe your entire data center with Terraform, you have like a full visibility how your data center is organized. And it will be more understandable for all your developers. And Terraform can also manage, like AWS, like low-level resources like DNS entries or SaaS features like sending an email or managing a mailbox. So now our main topics, so Terraform. So what we will do now is have like a little hands-on on Terraform. So we'll go through like everything, and I will describe everything for you. So in Terraform, you have like a basic, like in every basic language. So you have the input, you have what is compute, and you have the output. So here you can describe like the input with a variable block. So everything in Terraform is like type block, then you name the resource or you give it a name, and then you have you can like use the resource like you want. So for example here, what I did is like I declared like a variable with a name AWS region where I assigned AP Southeast 2. Then I declared a variable for greeting with a default value hello. Then what we are seeing here is a block provider and AWS. So what this block is saying, so this block is a way for telling to Terraform that we want to deploy on the AWS. But AWS, the Terraform scripts need also to know which region you want to use. So if I go to the console, here, if I go to the console, here you can see for each services, the first thing you do is just you select your region you want to be in. So it's the same for Terraform. The first things you need to do is just say, okay, I want to use AWS and I want to deploy my resources in this region. So this one is, this way is how you use the variables. So here I say, okay, I want to use the AWS region variables that is defined here. And I send the region this value, AP Southeast 2. Then what we have is kind of data block. So it's like a way to declare data. So this one will not create a resource in AWS. It's just a way to describe data in Terraform. This data is can be like a data that you can receive from AWS or something that you can write. So for example, this one is you want to describe a policy. So you want to say, oh, this is a policy for my Lambda, so we'll see later. A policy that say, okay, my Lambda can assume this policy and then use all everything that I have give access. Or you can have other type of data that is data that you can receive from AWS. So if you want to retrieve a certificate, or if you want to retrieve some static value in AWS, you can just use the data block. So if I use it like this, but I don't have the documentation, but we can try it later. So yes, with this you can receive your value. Then what we have here is like a resource block. So everything that is tag resource is something that Terraform will try to create in AWS. So this one is the AWS role. So we say, okay, I want to use this module. So this module, AWS IAM role, is defined inside this provider. So when we are saying, I want to use AWS, Terraform will provide this module, this resource. So then we give this resource a name, so Lambda role. So this name is only used inside Terraform. So it's only for us when we want to manage our script. This one is a name. So how you want to name your role in AWS. So we can check this name later in AWS. And then we can just, so when we want to create a role, we give it a name, and this role will have a data. So the data is just defined here. So that's how you can retrieve the data. So there is two different ways to do it. So when you want to use a variable, you just do var dot something, and when you want to use the data, what you do is just repeat data dot AWS IAM policy document and then the name. And then what you want inside this resource, this data, is a JSON. So then what we are trying to do here is just to deploy Lambda. So we just declare what we are trying to deploy. So what we are trying to deploy is defined here. So a Lambda, what you have in input of a Lambda is a zip file. So you define your source code in the JavaScript file, and you say, okay, the output will be composed file. So you give the type, and the Terraform scripts will do the job for you. Then you declare your Lambda. So you give it a name that is defined here, output name. You give your Lambda also a name and a role. You give also, what I need to show you is inside the Lambda. So the Lambda is like a basic code. What we want to do is just to say something, to return something. So here is like a greeting. So we just say to our Lambda that we, inside the Lambda, we want to access this function as a main function that will be executed when we run the Lambda. We give also a hash, so it will help Terraform to know when the source code is changing. If the source code changed, Terraform will deploy the new version. Then we say the runtime is Node.js, and we send some variables. So here again, we just reuse the greetings that we have here. So how we do it? So now I will open my console. So I will just clear everything. So how you do? So Terraform is installed on my local PC. So what you can do is just first enter Terraform help. So it will show you how you can use Terraform. So there is like many ways to use it. So first thing is what we are looking for is the plan one. So the three commands that we will see is the plan. So the first is generating and showing you what is planning to do, what will be the difference, and what you will try to apply into your AWS account. And the second one is apply. And you will see, and here you will try to apply like in AWS, and you will try to deploy everything. So let's try it. So Terraform plan. So here, what we can see is asking us for initializing like some plugins. So it's the same as when you are trying to use Git. So the first time you try to use Git, is just telling you, oh, you have to initialize your folder to be like declared as a Git folder, as a Git repository. So Terraform wants to do the same thing. So what we are trying to do, what we will do first, is do as he asks. So Terraform init. So what he's trying to do, so he will just download the plugin. So the plugin is the one that was defined here. So you will try to download everything that was included in the AWS provider. And then when it's done, it will tell you, oh, everything is initialized and blah, blah, blah. So Terraform created like a folder where you can see this one is used only for him. So yes, it will store everything, and the provider is here also. So let's back to our Terraform plan. So what we are trying to do is to deploy this. So here you will see the list of the actions that Terraform is trying to perform against the infrastructure. So here we have the first one. So what is telling us? So the first thing is just say, okay, with the add, with the plus symbol, you will have everything that Terraform wants to create. So it will list everything that you want to create. So we have two things here, is the role and the Lambda. So just to come back, so what I said here is everything that is resource block will be created. So here we can check only the Lambda and only the role are created. And everything else is like variables and that are used internally inside Terraform. So here you just say, okay, I will try to apply this if you enter the apply command. So next, what we want to do is just to create this in AWS. So we'll enter the apply command. The apply command will try to perform this and try to deploy. So here again, you have like the same output as the Terraform plan. So you will see again what you will create. What we can see here also is everything that you enter or configure in your Terraform file, it will be listed here again. So when you did not define the values, it will say none after apply. So it will be compute and AWS will return the answer for this. But for example, for the memory size of your Lambda, what you have is like we define that we want a Lambda of 100, I suppose. No, so this one is the default one. So here the runtime is Node.js 12. So here we can see that it's here. So it's trying to perform what I say, just yes, I agree. So you can see here that in our folder, we said that we wanted to have a zip file generated that will be used for the deployment. So Terraform generated the zip file, yes, automatically. So here is just telling us like, okay, I will try to create, it's taking me that much time. We'll just wait. So we can see also that he created like some files, terraform.tfstate. So we'll check this later. So yes, so I created my Terraform created the two resources in AWS. So what we want to check now is everything is created. So just as a reminder, so we wanted to deploy in AP Southeast Asia, Southeast East 2, and we wanted one Lambda and one role. So let's check it. So I'm in AP Southeast 2. I will just press refresh. So here is my Lambda. So is it correct or not? So here, hello Lambda. So we give it the name here. So AWS Lambda here. I want to check if the code is the same. So here, okay, I will go inside. So yes, here again. I don't know if I can zoom in. Anyway, cannot zoom in, but the code is the same. And what we wanted to check also is the environment variables. So here we defined two, foo and greeting. So we can find them here too. So foo is bar and greeting is hello. Hello was defined at the top here. So what we want to check now is just to check if the Lambda is working. So event name, I will just say hello. What we just want to is greeting. And here we have the, I want to say hello from 7 pics and remove like, okay, create. So now we can say, okay, I want to test it. So details. So the Lambda is returning hello. So why is that? It's because we defined it, the value here into the greeting environment. So maybe what we want to try to do now is just to update and to see if we change environment variables, what will be the output and how we can deploy it with Terraform. So for example, if here I want to say hello from 7 pics again, okay, I just saved everything. So what I just want to do is just a plan first to check if everything is okay. And you will show me what are the differences and what you will try to apply. So here is checking everything and trying to pull the latest version. So here is different. So this tag is just to mention what will be updated. So this part will not be updated, but the one that is greeting hello will be updated and to hello from 7 pics. So what we will do now is we want to deploy this. So I'll just Terraform apply. So same again. So yes, so same output as a Terraform plugin, nothing changed. So we just say, yes, I want to deploy. So one modification on the Lambda. So I will go back here and refresh. We'll just go back. Go back to my Lambda and I will see hello from 7 pics. So if I run the test again, normally what we will see is hello from 7 pics. So Terraform is able to see what you change and just apply the latest version. So everything can be managed here. So what we want to see now, if someone try to update the code that is here without updating the Terraform. So what I will do is just to put back hello, hello, or just I and save it. So now if I run my Lambda, for example, what I will have in return, just I. So if I run again my Terraform script, I will just run a plan before to see what my Terraform is telling me. So yes, so here again, what your Terraform will try to do is just to, like you see here, so we put it I in a console manually, but you will try to put back again hello from 7 pics, which is defined in the Terraform. So if someone is trying to modify manually inside AWS, the Terraform scripts will apply again the what is described in the code. So once you want to go for Terraform scripts, everything should be scripted. Otherwise, your modification will be erased the second time. The Terraform script will run. So I will just run apply to put it back. So all Terraform is doing is all Terraform is working for like doing the diff and knowing what needs to be changed. So Terraform is storing locally a file now that is named terraform.tfstate. Yes. So this file, we don't need to touch it or to modify it manually, but we can just access it. Okay, so I will just do again Terraform help. What you can hear is you have a command to go. So inspect Terraform state or plan. So I will do that. Show. So here you can see the Terraform state. So here is what is deployed and what is the state inside AWS for Terraform. So when you are working with a team, this file will not be shared. When I have this file here, this file is not shared with my team members. So it could be an issue. So there is a way in Terraform for like storing this file in a S3 bucket or a remote location where everybody can access it. So that's it for the end zone. I will go back to the slides. So here is the presentation. So we are here, presenter view, close. So yes, so what we saw is Terraform know what you do and what it needs to do. So describe everything in your Terraform script. You will be able to see what's need to be changed and what's need to be destroyed. We did not cover this, but you can try to delete the section in your Terraform script, the Lambda section, and the Terraform will try to destroy this. Actually, we can do it now because I don't want to waste money. So what I will do is just hit destroy. So when you enter destroy, it will not destroy everything immediately. What you will do first is, so here you will see destroy. So it just gives you like a quick summary of what will be destroyed. So I just pressed yes. So everything is destroyed. If I go to the AWS account, I go to functions, you can see here my Lambda function is not here anymore. So what we saw is, as a developer, all you will do is just write your Terraform script first. Then you will share it with your peers and they will review it. When this part is done, you can run a Terraform plan, see what are the changes that will be applied, what Terraform will try to apply against your AWS account. Then if everything is okay, you can run the apply and this will deploy everything and provision all your resources. And the last one is destroy. So don't be scared of the destroy command because normally you can just recreate everything with the apply command. So as long as you don't delete your Terraform scripts, everything can be recreated. But be careful with the data that you are storing in your database and S3 buckets. And we saw also that there is two ways for Terraform. So Terraform is working with a state to see what has been changed. So it's comparing this file with what you are trying to deploy. So we have two ways to store it, locally and remotely. So we saw that the local way. So you can check on the internet to see how you can do the remote way. Just an advice here. So build your Terraform scripts by grouping your resource as a project. So when you want to create a project, you can create your project at once and destroy your project when you finish. So you will not impact other teams. So you can split your Terraform scripts around projects or around like a small components inside your application, but don't try to put everything or all your enterprise or your infrastructure inside one main Terraform script. Yes. So yes, what you need to remember. So Terraform is really good because you can like tag your resources and just for your billing, it will help you to tag all your resources. So with Terraform, you have like a specific section where you can tag resources. You are able also to destroy like a section or a project or a component of your application more easily. You will also increase the speed of your teams because they will focus on the application code and the business value and not anymore on the infrastructure and how they are trying to configure the Nginx, Apache, or any kind of infrastructure configuration. And you will also lower the risk when you are trying to deploy to the staging and production environment. So yes, thank you. So now it's the time for the QA and the questions. So I think you can write your question in the chat. So no question for the moment. Don't be shy. So yes, I have one question is, can we use Terraform with Google Cloud or with Azure Microsoft? So actually, you can use also Terraform with Azure or any kind of cloud provider. So I will show you where it's defined. So basically, here you are saying that you want to use AWS as a provider. So if you want to use Azure, you can also like import the Azure provider. So I assume it's this one, and you can then write your code for Azure. Next question. So I think that's all. So maybe we can go for the break. So yes, so let's do the break. So we will be back in 5 minutes. And the next presenter is Giorgio for serverless.
Hi, today, this evening, I prepare for you a bunch of slides and questions about the how to develop using the AWS Serverless platform. So this is about me. I started working this section in IT in 2006. I cover several roles as developer, consultant, project manager, software engineer, and now I cover the position of tech lead cloud solution here in 7X. This is my certification, the Azure Solution Architect Expert. and the AWS Solution Architect Practitioner and Associate level. Okay, this is the agenda for this evening. Okay, I start with a brief landscape about the AWS serverless services, just to understand what we are speaking about. After, I go inside the analysis of some cases per services that you can use in serverless. I highlight only the most used one, or according my opinion, what is the most useful and the most used one. So the DynamoDB, the Lambda, and the API gateway. At the end, I hope to have some kind of time to have to illustrate also all the rest that is that AWS provide to us. So, okay, let's do it. Try to follow the white rabbit in the hole, down to the hole. This is the one of the landscape of the AWS serverless services. Is not all, there is something that is missing, and here is reported. I choose these images because report the most used and useful one. And I would enter in the detail about the main one, as I explained you before, and I will speak and describe some of them for the rest of the at the end of the slide. So now start to be serious. The first service that I show you is the DynamoDB. Why? Because my data is important. In my application, is my project. All the development, if the project has a data storage, how store my data, how model, how design, how retrieve the data from the data storage is always the most important phase in the software development. Okay, start to figure out what is DynamoDB. DynamoDB is a key value and a document database. What those sentences, those assertions mean? Key value. Key value is the first representation of the NoSQL. SQL is for SQL, structured query language. NoSQL is the not-in of the SQL. There is several NoSQL database. DynamoDB is the union of two possible models of the NoSQL. Key value, as I told you, key value is structured that you have a key and a sequence of one or multiple value associated to this key. Document, the NoSQL model as document. A lot of developers know the document model with the MongoDB, or before the MongoDB there was or still exists HorizonDB, and some document was the DocumentDB. The document is a kind of storage of the document itself in all representation of the documented information. What I mean as documented information, we need to think a document as a piece of, as the index or the table of content of one book or one chapter. There is a section, paragraph. The paragraph is subdivided inside. You have a substructure, nested or not, inside the one book. Okay, not document. The main concept of the DynamoDB. What you should know to use DynamoDB. What is a table? What is an item? And what is an attribute, or what is the attributes? What is a primary key? The primary key can be the primary key as partition key, or the primary key as the in union is coupled with the sort key, and you have a composite primary key. There is an option to add secondary indexes that I show you why I need to add that. And there is the stream, the most useful and expensive feature of DynamoDB. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't want to bother you with the theory feature, how can do that. I would enter immediately in a possible test case. I report here a snippet of the design or the requirement for one can define e-commerce application. Okay, I have my product, the application have the product, I have the order have the order lines. There is several payment associated to one order, and for one payment I can have multiple invoices. Why? Because the payment can be splitted across the timing, or the invoices, we can resume the invoices as invoice for the supplier, invoice for the customer, for the purchaser who buy the stuff, and the invoice, for example, the tax information and so on. This is the three possible cases that I have in mind now. So if you want to use DynamoDB, please use this test case as metrics. You are able to reproduce this in the DynamoDB? Yes, no, maybe I need an help. I suggest you to study first the concept that I write here, and try to articulate or try to put inside the DynamoDB, try to write, first of all, write the design for DynamoDB of this test case. If your developer, if I am a project manager, or I am a CTO, or I am developer head manager or whatever, this is a good example to test the skill and the goodness, let me say goodness of your developer. They, or better, check if they are ready for DynamoDB. Okay, this is a better definition. Use this to say, okay, this is the Giorgio's example, and Giorgio, and we use that to see if you are able to design this case in DynamoDB. The part of the test case is only to write, so is a paper, pen or pencil, and maybe 2, 3, 4 hours to think about the study of the feature of the DynamoDB. Here I try to make you a bit involved in this slide. Please, I give you 30 seconds. Please try to think, try to design this test case in your mind using the concept or or at least the main definition of DynamoDB. Key value and documents. Forget about the concept. Yes, I'm a bit despicable now because I don't give you the time to study, but I guess that I give you already so much information to model a possible solution or draft of the representation. So, okay, I start to count now. 30 seconds. I hope that you do properly your job, your work. Please accept this as challenge and try to challenge yourself. I try to teach you, I give you my experience about that, and that will be have a lot of effect in terms of cost, pricing of DynamoDB, and software development. Okay, time up. Giorgio solution. Okay, first of all, order. Focus on order. This is my solution. Is not the perfect one. Can be not feasible in your context. I try to explain with my solution how you should think to achieve all the benefit from DynamoDB. Okay, order code and order source key is the composite primary key. I always use the composite primary key, except when the design or the model not allow me to do that. Why? In the primary key, the DynamoDB will hash your primary key, simple composite, up to you, and will apply the concept of the partition. So the first two questions that you have to revert to yourself is, how can I partition my order? Guys, the partition is not like a sequence, okay? Why? Because the sequence is an order. If you remember your math study, there is two possible relationship that a function can do inside a group of variable. Equivalence and order. The sequence is an order. The equivalence is what the partition is. Try to divide all your domain, your group of data, your group of variable according an equivalence relation. This means that you can cover and you can partition all the whole group, the whole field of your data. Sometimes I use as order code the date and until the minutes. Why? Because the hash function will divide, the partition can be divided by year. The year can be divided by month, 2020 01, 2020 03, 2020 04, and so on, or 2019 12, and so on. Year, month, day, hour, and minutes. How can sort this partition? How can order my partition? By the sort key, I put order number. The order number can be a sequence. can be a variable, a random number, is something that help DynamoDB to order the data in the same partition. For example, think about this case. 2020 05 14 20 47, and the order number will be ABC, or 002 001. Now it can be a sequence or not a sequence. Have a meaning order, they say, use the relationship of order here, use a sequence. So in that way, in the hour 20, 8 p.m., I can order this partition according the order number. I can understand what is. You can revert, you can do what you want. The most important thing when you design a primary key composite or not is the partition should be equally, all the partition of your field or of your data field should be homogeneously distributed. Cannot be that one partition have 1 million of record and another partition 1. This means that you fail to design the key. Forgot about pagination, list ordering, any possible requirement that you have about order or listing your order table or your order data. This is the first, the point number 3 is the first point that help you. If you fail on the number 3, negate the first, the point number 1 and point number 2, and you fail. And the DynamoDB is so powerful that the cost go down on the normal RDS. In our experience here in 7px, we have the way for some project, we implement this where at the end of the month, the price of the DynamoDB is less than the cost, the normal SQL database in the one of the RDS systems. Think careful about that. Okay, order lines. One order have one or multiple order line. Okay, to design the order line is I use a list type. The list type don't have restriction about the data type. Can be stored any possible data type, and the only requirement, the only thing that you need to take care is how much data type I put in this list. The second point. The elements in a list element don't have the same type. If in a list of 10 data type, I have 10 type, can be hard to manage. You need to find a way to create a discriminator equal in common all the data type to understand which kind of type it is. Can be used only one? Yes, is the best approach. All the possible solutions that stay in the middle can be also a good solution. Here, I use the document type. The document type is you can see the JSON syntax because the DynamoDB for the representation use the JSON syntax. So I use the same, and in my opinion, is the most clear one. So for the document type, you can nest what you want inside this data type. You have only one limit of 32 level in deep. So you can, if you want, you can represent a tree, and the level of the tree can have maximum 32 level. Don't have a limit as attribute. So you can put what you want here. The only limit is that the item. The item, you need to think that is the whole row, that with one single row of the DynamoDB table, is less than half megabyte. So DynamoDB cannot store your movie, okay, because it's not good for that. Store the item until 400 kilobyte. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. I leave you, as my teacher say at my university. The rest of the design is for your homework. I show you, I give you the tips and the most important thing to design order line products. I leave you payment and invoices. And here, and for payment, here I already give you a tips. So, how? Okay, the pagination. Normally, in the pagination, to realize the pagination in your application, because you want to paginate your order, think that inside the admin panel, you need to list the order of the day, list the order of the week, month, year, and so on, blah, blah, blah. I suggest you to use a cache. The AWS give us a service that is called the Elastic Cache, sorry, and use this cache for store your data that help you to paginate. If your pagination go more in the detail, you need more. This means that you need something like the analytics. So it's not like a light filter. I call light filtering because there is no computation. It's only an ordering. You prepare your cache, you organize your cache in the way that when you have a key or you have a criteria to match with the pagination, you have this kind of list of the order in your cache. The cache stays in memory, so it's faster and so on. So when you load the detail, you automatically can pick up and load each single row per ID, per key. So in that way, you have your complexity of the operation is more or less is OD2. One is get by key, my order or my product or my invoice or my payment by key, and the other one is access to the cache that can be another unit or log the natural of the n. If someone remember what is the difference between the logarithmic logarithm of 10 ln, they remember and know that this ln is more efficient than the other one. Okay, this is the trick. A lot of people and a lot of developers don't think about that. Read and write capacity. This feature is written in the AWS DynamoDB documentation, bold 72 hypertext. I don't understand why the people don't remember that. This is one of the most expensive features of the DynamoDB. So more you are allocated, more you pay, and at the end, the cost will be a lot. The first option is scalable on demand, but this is honestly, it's not. If the code sucks, this is not a good solution. The code sucks, so need to fix the code. How fix the code? There is a concept here, read consistency. The concept of these two words is DynamoDB can read your data. How? You can choose the eventual consistent read. This means that you have more or less zero or a part of the data that you are writing. This not include the isolation of the transaction. This means that if someone know this concept, is read after write concept. This means that you don't follow read after write. What is in the DynamoDB at the moment of the read, you have back. If you choose for strongly consistent, okay, is read after write. You have all the data that is going to write. Recently, DynamoDB add also the transaction. Can be good, can be not. Depends about your context. This is the most important thing. Behind the transaction, there is a strongly consistent read. The strong consistent read allow you to decrease the read capacity. The read and write capacity is coupled with the item size. So there is in the AWS documentation, there is the formula, as complex as you can, but it's not impossible, to calculate what is the size of your row, what is your space complexity. This horrible word that stay in the university, and I forgot when when I copied the examination. So space complexity here is very important because it's the trick to help you to keep your to size your data and understand how many rows, how many items, okay, you can pull. If you do write the pagination, or you need to scan the DynamoDB table, please, if you are using the eventual consistency read, choose as, for example, read capacity 10, pull 10 record, 10 item per time. Don't scan. And I say, oh, Giorgio, but after I cannot have in the API of the DynamoDB the point to, if I retrieve 10, I don't have the point to say, okay, scan from 11 to 20, 21, 30, 31, 40, and so on. How can I do that? And I can reply to you, what part of primary key partition, order my partition, you don't understand? This is one of the key that help you a lot in this case. There is also the secondary index that is help you to retrieve the data, the items in this table. Yes, in the DynamoDB table. This is about you. If you want to choose serverless, if you choose DynamoDB, okay, perfect. Remember that you choose that. The rule of the DynamoDB is the rule of the DynamoDB, not what you think. So please, as the game, who is old like me, is know the board game. Please read the rules, and after have the play the game. Okay, what I say before, the data aggregation. The data aggregation about I need to display this graph with this data. I need to do a dashboard. I have to do a sort of analysis. You have two choices: by query using the table, using the secondary index, or by transformation. You can use, guys, we are in the serverless. There is a DynamoDB is have a lot of events, and use an event on insert or update, and use a Lambda to compute this information that you are going to insert or you are going to update. This is more or less the approach of the big data. The big data have this approach. Write what you have after you start to process all the data that you have, that you write. This is very important in DynamoDB. The DynamoDB event insert update seems like a trigger, what is equal to the SQL trigger. There are the, with this kind of event, you can have more level of customization because you can write a Lambda. And in the Lambda, you can do what you want, is your code. Sorry, okay. Would you want to model based on the interaction with your database? I guess that this is a question that come when there is the thinking part. I hope that I reply to your answer. I show you how the interaction with my database is the model design, is the design of your data, how you design your, if we are speaking about SQL, how you structure your ER diagram. The design is that easy. The term of the design. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the queen of hearts, the Lambda. I write in Greek language lowercase and capital case. Hey guys, Lambda is the queen. The key, okay. Key concepts: event-driven and stateless. The trick is all here. I never be bored to repeat that because a lot of people wrong when write a Lambda. Is event-driven. So to trigger the execution of the Lambda, you need an event. Inside the Lambda documentation, the AWS Lambda documentation, you find the list of the event that the Lambda can handle. So if you want one before to think to use the Lambda, please go check the possible trigger that you are in mind to use and see if this is possible. If it's not possible, sorry, you cannot use the Lambda. Stateless. Get HTTP www.google.com. The HTTP GET is stateless. If you have an error, every time return an error until the state of the resource change, but change not for the Lambda or for the HTTP GET, because there is some external action that change the status of the result. This is very, very important because you have to manage the error, the computation in your Lambda. Okay, after there is another good feature of the AWS Lambda, that is the layers. I copy and paste from the AWS documentation. A layer is a zip archive that contains library, custom runtime, and other dependencies. The size cannot be more than 2.99 megabytes. And you can have maximum 4 layers per time. Okay, what does it mean? Or what I have in mind? What is the sequence of the question? Where, in what Lambda, I have to put my layer? A lot of developers think about common package, util package, and so on, or have a library that can call addis, that can call common. For example, it.giorgio.addis, or I write it.giorgio.myprojectname.addis.commons and so on. I put everything there. No, now you cannot do that because you have a size and the size matter. How many layers I need to have? Right, this is a good question. You need to break down as much as possible the common code. What I mean, the login and the authentication Lambda cannot have the same shared code of, for example, get product or get order. Why? Because the semantic of the two Lambda is completely different. So for that reason, I suggest you go inside the package adil and start to divide adil.product, adil.authentication, adil or commons.authentication, commons.product, .order, and so on. Try to break down as much as possible your library or your common code. In that way, you can use and you can win in this part. Okay. Throttling or the scaling of the Lambda. The Lambda is stateless, so in the same moment of the space-time can be multiple Lambda that can be executed. So what I mean that you need to have a short understanding about what is the burst limit and the concurrency limit. The burst limit is different per region and is allocated per minutes. The concurrency limit is start at 1000. You can overwhelming over there or asking to the support to increase or start to use the reserved concurrency limit. Okay, I copy the image from the documentation you will find in the AWS. What is the main, just to have you, to give you a concept about that. What is the throttling? The gray, let me draw something. This stuff here is the throttling. So what I need to know about the scaling, or what I need to know about the scaling of my Lambda function. I need to know what is my workload. During the development phase, this is not be possible if you don't have the requirement, but during the testing, or you hope that you have a proper DevOps philosophy in your company, you have the developer who is in charge for the developer. Think about that, especially for the common functionality that can be critical in your application. What I can do to check it into my application. Guys, performance test, stress test, whatever, is you need to have a coffee first, see your requirement, second, third, think about what is your critical function. What is your critical function that you implement with the Lambda? I remember you that the common attack is the SQL, still the SQL injection, the DDoS, and the password brute force. Guys, admin is not a common password to use. It's not a good, it's common, but it's not a good password to use. Password 1234. Okay, sorry, I have no. Yeah, okay, sorry. Is the communication step function. Tan, tan, taran, tan, tan, taran, tan, tan. The step function is the way to implement the workflow across the multiple AWS service. So, okay, sorry. So the implementation of the workflow across the multiple AWS service, you can, with the step function, realize the idea of the state machine. What is the state machine? Someone remember NFA, DFA, and Turing machine? Remember? There is giving a language defined with the four group of the four variable. I can define if the language is regular, if and only if exists a Turing machine, an NFA or DFA, formalized with the 5 variable that can read this this grammar and produce a regular language. My teacher will be blaming a lot. So the grammar for us is the grammar of the programming language, the Node.js programming language, the Java, C#, Python, whatever. Everything can, every structure that we are using now at the base a grammar. And this grammar can be regular if and generate a regular language if exists a state machine that parse that. So how realize this workflow or this state machine? I have to deploy something. The deployment tools giving to the AWS is visual. So you go to step function, create new state machine. There is the if you skip or you press next in the first wizard, when you create your first step function, if you click edit, he gives to you a visual representation of your flow and the possible action that you can add, the possible action input output state that you can add. These help you to formalize your workflow. The syntax will be JSON, and by this JSON, so you can import, you can start to write in JSON, you can import your writing after you check. Otherwise, you can see, you can reuse the example of the snippet you provided by AWS itself. I always check two things here. Okay, this is this is the graph. Okay, the workflow that I have that I can represent. I use the example of the DynamoDB, for example. So first of all, look the way of the interaction. If you want to use the DynamoDB or the SNS or the SQS or other service, don't think that, okay, there is the SNS connection, there is the SNS connector. This doesn't mean that you can publish or read. Check better what is the interaction that the step function have with SNS. Because in the SNS, for example, read from the received SNS or receive an event from S3 can be so much expensive. publish on the S3 is already provided by, is an example provided by AWS itself. As I told you, it's all in JSON syntax. So something that remember you a template, something that remember you on a declarative approach. When I need that, good question. When I need to realize the workflow, okay, simple and stupid answer, but this here there is the key. When I need to implement a workflow and my workflow match the example, the template of the pattern provided by AWS. There is a two plan for the step function, standard and premium. According this different, you have different pricing according to how many times you call, how many state, and so on, and how many interaction you have. Think that, for example, as before, you can have possible extra charge from the integration with the other service. So think very well and go study very well this kind of step function. If your contacts match one example of the AWS, good. If doesn't match, please go in the detail, check, evaluate your solution. For example, realize here a workflow across the Lambda, a chain of the Lambda can be easy. Depends about your data. Realize a complex workflow, I guess that you can incur in some extra fee. The price of this fee will be estimated or calculated, and check if this solution is feasible. Think about that first, after you can implement. Don't act as okay, the step function is my solution. No, it's the wrong approach. Okay, now I don't know, or not a bit. API gateway. Who are you? The main function, the main feature of the API gateway is that you can define for the API the HTTP method, the parameter, and the payload, and calculate and manage the root control. After that you did that, you can publish on the stage. You can publish all the API, can publish a group of the API. This stage functionality give you the ability to manage your API. Okay, think about that. Your API now is under version 1. You need to promote so you have stage product version 1, for example, call it in that way. And you change your customer of 1 baht every 1 million of requests per minute, for example. You elaborate your marketing department, your sales, the marketing department, your infrastructure team report to you some feedback, and you need to create the version 2. This version 2 will be published under product version 2 stage. So these help you to manage your API, to manage your microservice, because maybe you can have order version 1, microservice order version 1, and microservice order version 2. Why not? Provide you a sort of the optimization about caching and content encoding. And there is also what is the feature of the protection against the web application firewall and the request throttling. All these functionalities under network layer. If you want more, you need to go up on the OSI stack and come back to layer 7, the top of the OSI stack. Sorry, ISO stack. Okay, here some consideration that can help you. The API gateway. The API gateway is an architectural pattern. Not exist a right way to use an API gateway. Before that, AWS exit with the API gateway. The API gateway was the Apache server. The Apache server has a lot of module, mod proxy, mod rewrite, mod what you want, okay, to perform this architecture pattern. Now there is Nginx, for example. Can be good, can be not, I don't know. Depends about your context. I'm not here to judge if it's good Apache or Nginx. Why? Ask you why to yourself. Why I am using it for it, I say the API gateway. What is my goal to use that? Is something because I need, because the Lambda is the Lambda to manage the HTTP request want the API gateway, and my requirement is serverless. Yeah, can be a good reason to have that. But why you have that? For the requirement, because this is your really good solution for a good design, good model for your architecture. Answer to yourself. Stage. As I explained, new stage are used to isolate the possible sale or marketing strategy or possible product that your company can sell. Use the CDN, CloudFront or not CloudFront? This is the question. Can be useful for my company use the CloudFront, the CDN, in front of the API gateway? Yes, no, maybe I need to replicate my system in the other region. So I guess that DynamoDB can be the good idea or not. Something. This question should be blow in your mind. No computation. The API gateway, as I told you, is not a computation part, is network only, plus the integration of across the other layer for the AWS service. For example, there is no computation, use or consider the API gateway plus the S3 for the file upload. You can use the API gateway to upload, to don't write the code, and for the file upload. I need to upload the X terabyte of file. Okay, there is a strategy. It's well documented in the AWS documentation under example of tutorial or example of the API gateway. And they tell you in the detail about how configure the API gateway with the S3 to perform the file upload. Is only to pick up the file, receive the file, move in S3. Easy. There is no computation. If you want more computation, can be reasonable, and there is some example to attach the API gateway to a step function that do your workflow, and after write or not the file in S3 and some data in DynamoDB. All the rest is logic. Stay in the picture that I show you. There is I would suggest you use the integration about the messaging and queue using the SQS or the Amazon SNS. SQS is resemble more email services. Sorry, but I don't have so much time to speak about the storage and the Amazon S3. Have a lot of feature, can be used, cannot be used. Need to study how use the Amazon S3. The certification of the cloud practitioner and the solution architect have both a lot of question about, not a lot, I'm sorry. There is a lot of important question about the S3. There is some feature that the developer and solution architect should be know when you are using the Amazon S3, especially for the functionality of the upload a file. monitoring and logging, the observation. I suggest you guys 3 services for that. CloudWatch log, CloudWatch metrics, X-ray. For the rest of this picture, I suggest you the Amazon, the Route 53, if you need to expose your on the internet your endpoint under a certain name, a fixed name. What I recommend you to have a glimpse of knowledge is the Amazon Cognito. And after, guys, for the machine learning, IoT, and Kinesis is more detailed about your context. What is missing in this picture? AKS, ACS, and Fargate. Fargate can enter inside the ACS, Amazon ACS, because the ACS can be deployed in Fargate mode, network only, and using the EC2 instance, spot or reserved or what you want, on demand, reserved and spot, or you want to use the serverless way with the container in AKS, in the Kubernetes. I receive a lot of question and complain about why the container is serverless, because really it's not serverless. Because why it's not serverless? Or I reply always in that way. Depends about your way to deploy. If you deploy by code, the Lambda is the most common example. If you want to deploy by container, that now is the most used way, because they have some benefit, especially when you need to distribute complex application. Use the deployment by container. How can deploy by container in serverless? Using or a cluster of Kubernetes or a cluster of ACS. I prefer honestly the Fargate, but this is need to be discussed under the project requirement. What is better or what is not? Guys, the question. I would have some question by you. Let me check. You can write in the chat. You can do what you want. Okay, I give you a bunch of minutes for this question.
Giorgio, I have some also, so I will
yeah,
okay. Mine. So what is which one do we prefer, CloudFormation versus Terraform? So yes, you can. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
There is is the way to the approach is the same. There is both of the approach have some limitation. What is what fit for your context is the best. I prefer the Terraform, but if I need to speak only in the AWS, also the CloudFormation can be used. Depends about your context. If honestly the syntax is different, so when you write a CloudFormation, need to take care about the syntax, and especially when you write a complex architecture that involve a lot of AWS services, can be huge, and the way to find a possible parameterization for your input, for the parameter to put in input and create a template that you can reuse, can be hard. Terraform in that way give you an help, as you Nicola showed us, to change the variable, for example, update that. Honestly, I prefer Terraform. and we have this way. If there are some short architecture that can be realized by CloudFront, okay, can be possible. Why not?
Yes.
There is something other else. Let me check. My mouse go away. Okay.
Yes, we have also a question like, are Terraform and serverless framework achieving the same goal? Maybe I will reply to this one. So
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Please.
So Terraform is like mainly for deploying infrastructure, so everything, so databases, queues or VPCs, everything, subnets. The serverless framework is more like the name, like it's a framework. So basically, serverless is more like for everything that is around Lambda events. So what they are trying to do is just to build like a kind of a tool that help you to create and to run easily your Lambda and create your IPA gateways. So the scope of serverless framework is like only for everything that is events and yes, with functions as a service. And Terraform is for everything that is related to infrastructure in general. And both of them, they share the same capabilities. They are able to deploy on Google Cloud or Azure or AWS. So I think you can use them both on your project. So yes, they are complementary.
Yeah, it's not no one allow you to use both. Yes. There is no stone rules to say you need to use that or only that.
What is the difference between Ansible and Terraform? So
one is Ansible, one is Terraform. Sorry, but
yes, the names are different, but
yeah,
I will get this one too. So Terraform is more for managing your infrastructure. So VPCs, everything that is static and related to your infrastructure. Ansible is more for managing what's inside your server. So for example, if you want to provision an Apache server or an Nginx or anything that is related to configure management inside a server, you will go for Ansible. And Terraform for everything that is like static, VPC, subnets. And yes, that's. But both of them, they can do. Yes, you can do with Terraform. You can do the job of Ansible, and Ansible can do the job of Terraform. But I think the best is to use them for which they are best at.
I agree.
On my side, I don't see more questions.
Okay. I have a question. Can Terraform, wait a second, let me read properly, I'm sorry. Okay. Can Terraform be auto-created from an existing AWS setup, just something like ARM template in Azure? Okay. Do you want to answer to this?
But for me, I don't know any way of doing this. So for me, it's no, you cannot. So
yeah.
But...
No. Yes. Okay. There is a main concept at the base of the two different cloud providers. The Azure Resource Manager, yeah, ARM, is the now is the common base for all the services, the portal, the CLI, the API REST, the API REST, and all the other applications. So Azure have this main layer here to manage the resource down. Can create by the portal some the resource inside your resource group, for example, and you click and export. Okay, can be done. In Azure and Terraform, especially in Terraform, you need to define these before. As you explained, Nicola, there is the importance of to share the Terraform state file, because inside the Terraform state file is the file where Terraform remember all. So generate these when you already have you can create, you can import the Terraform, you can import with Terraform the existing resource, and at the end perform some kind of change with this resource imported. But the way to have that go behind the declarative approach of go against the declarative approach of the Terraform or of the templating.
Yes.
Is two different way to manage the cloud resources, two different way to manage the templating and the tool that perform this operation. It's a good question.
So if you want to do it, you have to do it manually. That's the answer for me.
Yeah, need to do manually.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good question. Thank you. So more or less, okay, before you need to think about Terraform script. After you need to apply. When you need to modify, you need to come back to the Terraform script and modify and reapply again, as Nicola showed us. Cannot be Nicola, the resources that are changed manually will be destroyed or modify again. I don't remember. Sorry.
If you change a variable like the environment variable or the runtime for the Lambda, it will try to put back what you defined in the Terraform file. So everything you do manually or the quick fix that you will try to do in the console will be erased when you will want to run again the Terraform scripts. So yes, everything needs to be scripted, and yes, it will help you to avoid future errors or mistakes when you will deploy into staging and production. And it will be quick normally because you did the job already in the development environment. So you just need to rename or change some configuration when you want to deploy to staging, and just run Terraform apply, and the job is done. So I think, yes. Do you have more questions, Giorgio, on your side?
Let me check. No, not anymore.
Okay, so I think it's
done.
the end of the,
more or less it's done.
the webinar.
Yes. Okay, please share your webcam, Nicola.
Yes.
I feel alone.
I'm naked, that's why.
Good. Thank you very much. I feel myself alone. Okay.
So yes. So see you next time. And
yes, see you next time. Bye, guys.